So, if you've been on Twitter at all since the expansion pack hit the Nintendo Switch Online service, you might have saw some of the hullabaloo surrounding supposed input delay in regards to Nintendo 64 games. Now, as one who'd been playing the games for quite a few hours on stream, I didn't notice anything significant that stood out to me, and I'm one who's usually pretty sensitive to input delays. Now, I did notice that there might have been a very small delay, but I couldn't say for sure that wasn't my streaming setup. But once I got off stream, I saw there were a whole bunch of people freaking out about this massive input delay, and I had to check it out a little bit farther. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to make it clear that I'm not a scientist, nor even an expert of frame counting or whatever you want to consider this, but I did want to take at least a quick look at what potential difference there may be, just to see if there's any merit to this, and if there is, how much there could be to this. So my test was overall pretty simple, and I based it primarily around Ocarina of Time, as it seemed to be getting the most traction on Twitter. So all I did was set up my camera facing the screen, running at 60 frames per second, and having it capture both the gameplay as well as my controller itself. Then I would just charge a spin attack and release the button. And I did this on both original Nintendo 64 hardware as well as on Nintendo Switch with the expansion pack service and its version of Ocarina of Time. Then I took that video, imported it into my video editor, and counted the amount of frames from when I released the button to when Link started performing an action. Now once again, I want to stress I'm not an expert, and it was a little hard to tell the exact moment when the button stopped being pressed. So I ran the test 4 times at both the N64 and the Switch, and took the average of that to hopefully give us a fairly accurate answer. Alright, that's enough jibber jabber, let's get right to my results. And first up is the original Nintendo 64 hardware, and I discovered that, on average, there were 11.25 frames between when I released the button and when Link started performing the spin attack itself. I then repeated the test on the Nintendo Switch, both on my TV as well as when holding the Switch itself, and in either case the results are about the same, being an average delay of 13.25 frames, again from between when I released the button and when Link started performing the animation, which if you're keeping track at home is 2 frames longer, or about 34 milliseconds. Now I'm sure fighting game aficionados would say that's a pretty big delay, but for the average person that's pretty much imperceptible, especially when it comes to a game like Ocarina of Time, which already runs at a capped frame rate at 20 frames per second. So unless you're going for a speed run, it's unlikely the 2-frame delay is going to cause much of a difference. But there you have it, my findings on whether there's an input delay playing Nintendo 64 games on Nintendo Switch, which again there does seem to be, but it's very slight, and I suspect the difference isn't as pronounced as some people are making out to be online, which could be exacerbated by their home setup, especially since different models of TVs can make the input delay seem worse than it actually is. So what do you think of my completely unscientific test? Is a potential 2-frame delay a deal breaker for you, or is it no big deal? Let us know by posting in the comments below. And with that, thanks for watching, and of course stay tuned to GameXplain for more on the expansion pack of Nintendo Switch Online and everything else Nintendo Switch. We'll catch you later. Bye everyone!